everybody. Today we are going to be looking at Bears Ears National Monument. I've never been to this park. The reason that we're going to talk about this today is because, first and foremost, America's public lands, depending on who you ask, are under attack. Today, we're going to talk about a place that has been under fire for quite a few years now. The reason this place has been under fire is because they are talking about doing a lot of oil, natural gas, and uranium mining here. That thing that governs us that a lot of people are mad about? Government. We're not going to talk about politics today. What we are going to talk about is natural resources, public lands, natural history, and why it's important to protect those. I've got 4 composite images. These images are made up of 7 different bands. Each one is tuned to see a different wavelength of light really well. On these ones, we're using a 432 symbology. I don't know what's the best word to use for that. Below those, we have another composite. This one is a color infrared composite. You can see a lot of strange red colors on here. What this is this is switching the symbology around a little bit to help us see vegetation health. In this symbology, anything that's red is Band 5. Band 5 is the near-infrared band. Healthy vegetation reflects a lot of near-infrared light, so we will be able to use that to see healthy forests and densely forested areas. I've got a lot of layers on here related to mining and oil and gas and all that stuff, so we can see where that's going to happen. I've also got streams and wetlands on here. There's trailheads, there's roads, there's trails. This is our heat map. I generated this using iNaturalist data. The yellow areas are extremely popular. Oranges and darker reds are less so, and then anywhere that's purple or blue is a place where are iNaturalist observations, but there's not many of them. I thought this was a cool thing because it shows us, especially when we turn on our uranium areas and our mining potential, the locations where they are talking about mining are largely not where people are going. There's a couple sinks on the north side and then on the southeast side that, there's definitely mining potential in places where people are going. It's largely not going to be something that people see if they do mine here. That sounds like a good thing. That's not a good thing. First things first, let's go to Colorado and go to some areas where there's a lot of oil and natural gas. So this is the Pisons Basin. This is one of the most productive areas in all of Colorado for oil and natural gas. If they do that oil and gas over there, this is what it's going to end up look like. You have to fragment the habitat in a huge way to do this. I've spent a lot of time in other areas that have oil and natural gas in Colorado, and they're not places that I like to go to. People that work in oil and natural gas do not respect the habitat. I'm not here to talk broadly and paint with broad strokes. However, look at what has happened to this habitat. It is tremendously fragmented. There's still a lot of wildlife back there, especially for smaller wildlife like reptiles and the stuff that I look after. Habitat fragmentation sucks at any rate, and this is a tremendous rate in an area that, at least at one point in time, didn't see it. My mom, are you feeling better today? That's so nice, Mom. I am feeling better. A lot of people talk about, the land. And it's like, you don't know anything about the land. You've never been where there's oil and natural gas. And if you haven't been to a place where there's oil and natural gas, you shouldn't be saying things because you'll probably say something really dumb. I'm going to turn off the observations for now, and then we'll look at them in some specific areas. Basically, all of this red that you see, especially in Bears Ears, is all Gamble Oak. Most of Bears Ears is a large desert, but there's also upland areas like over here. All that down there is healthy canopy, super diverse. Probably one of the more diverse places in all of Utah is this stuff that we're looking at right here in Bears Ears. Oh, a shorthorn lizard, even better to have. Wow. That thing is really nice. Good God. Look at his outlines. He's so orange. What a handsome fellow. I've seen those on the west slope, but it didn't look like that. What else we got? We got insects. We got another reptile. A lot of these up here. Yeah, another Hernandez eye. Yep, a hand man with his eyebrows pulled. I'm mad. I'm a Hernandez eye. This is a perfect little area for him. Like right here, in between these Gamble Oaks and all this shrub, that's where you get them. They're really ridge-top lizards, plenty of open habitat. Super cool to see those there. Just look at how vivid that red is. It's nothing in this area except for healthy vegetation, and then these barren areas for lizards and stuff to hang around. Is this another Hernandez eye? It is. See, dude, this is what's so cool about this. Again, not the best picture, but there's a lot of Hernandez's shorthorn lizards up in this stuff. Swallowtail. This is one I've not heard of. That's a good-looking butterfly. We have, I believe they're eastern tiger swallowtails in Colorado. They're just one of the most handsome-looking butterflies ever. Smooth green snake. That's cool. I wouldn't have guessed that those would be up here. This is a cool spot to see one. I've never seen the smooth green in anything. I cruised this lifer and I'm still in shock. That's what they had to say. Obscured. So that was found on a road. It's not there, but it's probably this one. Is that a road? Yeah, I would say he cruised it on that. Cool. The species guess was Cascabel de Pradera. I like Cascabel de Pradera a lot better than that other thing. Yeah, that's a pretty typical looking snake for that area. Great plant here. Those cactuses are awesome, but that's not necessarily the handsomest king cup I've ever seen. I'm going to just select all these, and we're going to go through the table and see what's up. I wish that didn't have to be so obnoxious. That's a cool photo of a peregrine. There's two of them. They must have some babbies up there. Oh, wait. They either got some babbies up there or they're making some babbies up there. This is really the kind of place that you would expect to see peregrines in. Like these tall cliffs, that's perfect for them. They nest in this sort of stuff. Black Canyon and the Gunnison National Park, they're super easy to see out there. A lot of the kind of stuff you would expect to see up here. Woodhouse's toad is pretty cool. Ba-ba-boom. Yeah, see, they're huge. And the problem with this photo is that it's not in flower. Good photo in flower. See, look at those flowers, man. That's so nuts. And they get, like, big, too. Maybe not that big. They get big, too. Especially in Utah. Utah doesn't have a spring. It's not like Colorado where we get good spring. They just get, like, piddly little things sometimes, but it's not the same. So having big showy flowers and stuff really brings a lot to the landscape. Firecracker penstemon. Penstemons are one of the most diverse plants in the western United States. They have a high degree of endemism. Probably my favorite plant in the United States is Penstemon debilis, which has a very small range. Sacred datura or datura, I don't know how you spell dat. Hey, I know Andy better. Good guy. Hi, Andy. If you see this, those are cool. They're really toxic. This is a really cool plant. We saw them in New Mexico. Just look at that flower, man. That is just, it's kind of obscene how big they get. You can see in the photos, it's kind of a wasteland out there. I mean, like, you'll get an occasional flower. Those look like some tansy asters. Having a giant white flower like that is pretty cool. And they're not poorly distributed either. It's kind of cool. I've never seen them in Colorado, though I would love to. We can look at some gamble oak. Gamble oak is a very important plant. Gamble oak is a fairly familiar plant across the western United States. It's one of the more important plants for ecology. It's very scrubby. It does a lot of good for the animals around it. It typically grows in this kind of an arrangement where you get ponderosa pines or some other pine species that grow around it. It tends to form oak woodlands. It can also be understory. I mean, it's a very diverse plant. It grows in a lot of different arrangements, and there's whole areas where that is the dominant foliage. People are calling for my Medicaid. Should I answer? I don't have Medicaid. It's a great habitat for a lot of different animals. It supports a lot of birds. It has an endemic butterfly. Anywhere where you get that, gamble oak woodland / savanna, you're going to have a lot of large mammals. You're going to have a lot of bears. You're going to have a lot of birds. The wasp diversity when you're in that kind of an ecosystem is crazy. I mean, last year I sat around quite a bit and filmed at one of those gamble oak savannas / woodlands, and the number of times that, like, there's just wasps everywhere. That's a really cool plant. Holy crap. I didn't even know that was a thing. Rough Indian paintbrush. The Indian paintbrushes are a really cool plant because they're parasitic. Basically, they need to, like, parasitize the roots or somebody tell me, I don't know everything. So they're found on clay soils or cryptogamic soil. I believe that's, the fungal crust that grows out there. These are from Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. Let's look at the map. So that means they're probably in Idaho too. Well, I never heard of them before, but I learned. Wow, that's cool. Arizona sister, one of the best. Oh, I didn't know those were out there. Let me introduce you to my favorite butterfly, the Arizona sister. Arizona sisters are a southwestern butterfly of just tremendous. Oh my God, look at that butterfly. They're my absolute favorites. They've got a beautiful inside and outside of the wing. You're about to tell me they're in Colorado, aren't you? I can go see these out west? What the hell's wrong? Okay, we're going to have to go see some freaking Arizona sisters, man. They're so handsome. They've got such good iridescent blues and, deep family history with insects. And, look at that flower. Look at that. That's what the flowers look like before they open. So I've never seen that, like, purple color. The ones that we saw in New Mexico were just white. Yeah, I thought, okay, so first of all, you can induce hallucinations with these. Don't do it because you can also kill yourself with them. Don't do that either. Y'all want to look at some reptiles? Let's look at some reptiles, huh? Select by attributes or iconic taxon name. Reptilia. We're going to go look at some concolor because some of the best rattlesnakes in the United States live in Bears Ears, and we've got to talk about it. I would put money down that probably 80% of these are like 3 species of lizard. Oh, there's a midget faded rattlesnake is number 1. Cool. That's not one of the best rattlesnakes in the U.S. I'll admit that. When they're little, that's what they look like. They're an Oregonus complex sub that is really only found in the Green River Formation, which is like from Arizona up through here up into Wyoming. They're one of the more obscure rattlesnakes in the U.S., and they're absolutely awesome. When they're born, they look like this fella here, and as they get larger, this is a big snake right here that has lost all of its patterning, and that is a midget faded rattlesnake eating a squirrel. That person's cooler than me. Gambelia wislizni, these are awesome. These are a super, super awesome lizard that they have down there. I posted that video not too long ago about finding them in Colorado. Super cool lizard, as you can tell from the habitat. Uh-oh, making more lizards. Look at that handsome lady. She is a handsome woman. She is a handsome woman. That's what the females look like when they're in breeding season. It's crazy. It's crazy how close they get to Colorado down here. That trips me out. That is crazy. I didn't know they go so... They're in Idaho? That's outlandish. They really like this open, scrubby habitat. They spend a lot of time just like... I mean, you can really get a nice idea of their habitat just from looking at this. Scrubby areas. Not a lot of grass. These guys do really, really poor with invasive grasses to the point where, like, if you're in an area and you're seeing bromus, they're not there. That is a super handsome lizard, man. They're one of my favorite lizards in all of the U.S. Here's another prairie rattlesnake. The weird thing about prairie rattlesnakes and... See, that's a weird-looking snake, man. That is what generally would have been called a Hopi rattlesnake. Hopi rattlesnakes were a former subspecies found in the Painted Desert. I think they also had a different, like, scale count or something like that. They're very cool. They're not a recognized subspecies anymore. There's another baby midget faded rattlesnake. They're not the most handsome-looking snakes when they're little. Oh, my God. Somebody the person that uploaded this called it a gopher snake. Please do not pick up that gopher snake, my brother in Christ. Wow. Okay. That is obscene. Oh my God, look at that lizard. That is one of the best lizards of all time. The fella's got to see this one. That's probably a male. The males, especially in this area, just get obscene. Out west, here's a male and a female you can see. The female's not colorful, but the males are just blue. Collared lizards are one of the greatest lizards in the world, and I get to live by them. It's so cool. And so hopefully we continue to preserve their habitat and respect it a lot because it's worth something more than oil. There's one eating a bogue. That right there should be the header for this species, because that one is just, that's a very typical Viridis looking Viridis. So that's a small... You might even could call that a prairie. I don't know about that. That looks more Nuntius to me. I guess it depends on the size. Yeah, Riley's got it right. Can't really rule out Crotalus viridis or a hybrid of the two. I would call that Crotalus viridis. Also, hi Riley if you watch this. I hadn't seen that one. Holy is that a good snake? This is the prowess of the midget faded rattlesnake. That's a big snake right there. Generally, midget faded rattlesnakes, I mean, a 3-foot midget faded rattlesnake is a huge snake. That's probably in that neighborhood. You can see it's got a tiny bit of a faded pattern on it. But at this size, they have almost no pattern. And in this jurisdiction where it's all that orangey sandstone, a snake that is just like totally orangey, yellowy pink is like it shows up. They're so good. Goodness, there's never been a better rattlesnake. Except for there's better rattlesnakes, but they're cool. That's a pretty typical one. Smaller snake, still has a lot of pattern. So there's a really small one. It's just crazy that turns into that. That's the same snake. And if that snake lives long enough, it's going to look just like that. Holy Hannah. I can't tell how big that snake is. That one's probably, I mean, that's a really nice snake, though. They cruised this, it looks like. Cruised or hiked it. God, I mean, like, same snake, man. They're so variable. Oh, cool. A dead one. We love it. That one looks like it died of thirst or exposure. That's how hot it gets out there, though. It's so dry out there. It can be very miserable, and that's why we don't go out there much. Another stellar snake. My God. I had no idea they were so good in bear's ears. I guess this is kind of an advertisement for why it's important to protect bear's ears, is that this that population of rattlesnakes that looks like that can only be found in the Grand Valley in Utah. There's a few places in Colorado where you can get them like that, but they're hard and they're not the norm and they're narrow. But in Utah, they're just like that. There's the one. This snake is so handsome. That thing is not like, that's probably, you know, if you want to talk about the bell curve of concolor beauty, that's gotta be in the discussion. That size and that color, if it gets bigger, it's gonna start losing that pattern. Oh my gosh. Look at that snake. They're totally pink. I really got to get out there and see these snakes. I mean, it's something worth considering, no matter where you are on the topic of bear's ears and natural gas and all these things that we talk about. Just look at how healthy this is. And imagine the fact that this healthy ecosystem that's vibrant, full of life, this is another thing we haven't even talked about. This is one of the most rich archaeological areas anywhere in the U.S. You can't recreate archaeology. You can destroy a lot of it. I'm not trying to get too preachy here, but it's just worth mentioning that the value that is here cannot be put back, and it easily can be taken away. Supporting public lands is a difficult job. It's no joke. Respect to anybody and everybody that does support public lands. A masticophis, that's cool. These guys are kind of a pain to come across, not because they're rare. They're super common. This is basically the coach whip of the West Slope. And they're awesome snakes. I've only ever seen one in Colorado. And I'd like to believe that this is an in situ photo. I love that. I mean, they're not rare. They're very common through all of this stuff out here. Let's look at the amphibs, shall we? 120. That's surprising. I wonder how many of those are tiger salamanders. Red spotted toads are super common out there. Canyon tree frog, another cool. We got these across the line in Colorado. I wish we had better photos. Hopefully somebody else got some of those. We got a video of them. If you want to see them, go on the channel and check it out. It's a good one. And they're not difficult to observe either. Like, see, there they are hanging on the thing. Notice how dry they are. Like, they're an awesome creature. I love the way that they're using this willow to hide themselves a little bit. Leopard frogs, another thing. These guys really across their range, especially in the interior, aren't doing so hot. I think in Utah in particular, they're not well. There you go. Super handsome one. Yeah, and I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that I'm incorrect in saying that, like, their distribution in Utah, which, I mean, that's not bad. It's just that their habitat is pretty subject to impacts from humans, and, you know, that tends to damper the mood for amphibians. There are bullfrogs back there, which sucks. This is not native bullfrog range, but they're definitely not native down here, and they outcompete a lot of animals. Here's another canyon tree frog. Ah, that's a good photo one too. I'm gonna see if there's any blackneck garters out here. There are. Oh, very interesting. I'm not really sure what goes on with the blacknecks in Utah. I know that there's only one, so not a whole lot. So these guys are really a pain in the butt to find on the West Slope. That's a good looking one too. Yeah, I would love to see some blacknecks in Utah and Colorado. Here's your idea for how they're doing in Utah and Colorado. There's some sightings up by Moab, few and far between. There's more observations in southeastern Colorado than there is in all of Utah. I think they're kind of kept in this jurisdiction here. They probably come between like Blanding and Cortez. In this region, sort of in Colorado, again, very few and far between. I would have to talk to some of the people from Utah, but as far as I know, that's not a snake that's like doing awesome out there. So it's cool to see that there's at least one of them on here. We got 29 bears. That's pretty good. Oh, and they got photos of the habitat. Cool. Oh, well, paw prints. That certainly is a bear. Let's see what he's in. Because we saw some prints like this. Yeah, that makes sense. That looks pretty beary. That's great habitat. That looks like the kind of place that you see blacknecks in southeastern Colorado. This video comes with a call to action. That call to action is go to this place. Go here. If you are going to be in Utah this summer, do not subscribe to me unless you're going to Bears Ears. We're going to do a lot of public land stuff this year. My direction with all this stuff is changing in a pretty big way. That's largely because of the constant threat from the government to destroy public lands and to undermine the value that so many of us see out there. It's so valuable, and it's so important to so many of us, and it would be I would not be doing my job if we did not spend some time talking about public lands. So this is an area I'd love to get to this year. I've never been here. I've been nearby in Zion and in Mesa Verde in Colorado and some other areas out here, but it's just not the same thing. It's really important to me that we talk about the value that's out here and also look at, like we did in Colorado, what it looks like. People think, oil and natural gas, the land will still be protected. If you protect land and then you continue to make choices to fragment it, you're never actually protecting that land. I'm not trying to get too Marxist here on you guys, but this is like one of the most tremendous values that the people have, and it can't be understated that, putting a bunch of drills in here and fragmenting this habitat to the point where the people that pay for it can't even use it is tremendously damaging. So we need to have conversations about, the habitat that's out here. I want to do this for every piece of public land in the West and in the United States. Wherever you want to see, let me know. I'm not asking you to comment because I'm a loser. I'm asking the people what they want to see. If you like this video, do not subscribe. Go to your public lands this weekend, enjoy them, and tell us how it went.